Hello, my dearest ones. How are you tonight? I'm the Night Lady, and tonight I brought you 5 terrifying stories you shouldn't listen to after midnight. So, turn off the lights with your headphone and lie down comfortable. I hope you enjoy it and have amazing nightmares.
Hello, Night Lady. My name is Rafael Azevedo. I'm from Brazil, Andium 27. And until 2 years ago, I believe my family was like any other, filled with fights, silences, and old half-told stories. But everything changed the day my grandmother died. She had been ill for years. Cancer, they said. She passed away at home on a rainy Friday night. While sleeping, no one expected what would come next. During the division of her belongings, between boxes of memories, old furniture, and moldy documents, my mother found a carved wooden chest hidden behind a built-in wardrobe. In the room where my grandmother spent her nights in prayer, when we opened it, the smell hit us first. A mixture of mold and damp soil. Inside were objects wrapped in dark cloths, amulets with strands of hair, papers with strange inscriptions, and a leather-covered notebook tied with a red thread knot. It was a diary, but not one filled with sweet memories and ramblings. It was a record, a manual of everything she had done. And what was written inside changed everything I thought. I knew about the woman who raised me with coffee candies and afternoon soap operas. My grandmother's name was Gertrude's, but everyone called her Donna Truez, if the nickname could hide the weight of her full name. In the diary, she spoke of a man named Silvario, my grandfather. He died before I was born, but was always described as a quiet man, resigned, as if carrying the world on his back. And there was the reason Silvario, according to the diary, was never in love with Gertrude's. He loved another woman, Isaura. Isaura was his fiancée. They had a wedding planned, traditional family, wealthy, with dreams of children and a future. Together, but Gertrude's wanted him for herself, and what couldn't be conquered by love, she decided to conquer through the occult in the first entry of the diary. She described the ritual she performed with dirt from her great-grandmother's grave, bones of a black bird, old honey, and a handkerchief used by him. She wrote that after the ritual, she saw a small snake coil around itself and die before the makeshift altar. To her, that was a sign of acceptance. Weeks later, Silvario broke up with Isaura and began seeing my grandmother. But what seemed like victory soon turned. Silvario changed. He wandered through the house talking to himself, as if trying to grasp something slipping through his fingers. Even so, he married Gertrude's. The diary continued 4 pages with records of other ritual spells to keep him home. Dark baths, too. Drive away any woman that came near. And finally, a ritual to kill Isaura. I trembled reading it. She described in detail the day Isaura fell down the stairs at her parents' house, broke her neck, and died before the ambulance arrived. The most disturbing part, she smiled when she found out. My grandfather, according to the diary, never recovered. He became a hollow man, living by inertia. The only thing that seemed to bring him comfort was a small dog named Belle, which he adopted shortly after Isuara's death, and Belle lived 24 years. I'm not exaggerating. 24 years. My mother always said he talked to Belle like she was human, as if she understood now, ... I understand. Belle was the anchor, the only real affection he had left after the destruction of the woman he loved. The diary ends with a final note. It was worth it. What's mine, no one takes. Not in life, not in death. After reading all of it, I started noticing signs I had ignored before. The old photos where he never smiled. The flowers he took to the cemetery every June 19th. The look in his eyes in the few videos we have always distant. As if he lived somewhere no one else could enter. Today, whenever I walk down the hallway of my grandmother's house, I feel a coldness that doesn't belong to the rest of the house. A heavy silence, as if something is suspended, waiting. Sometimes I hear footsteps on the wooden floor, or the sound of claws scratching at doors as if Belle were still there. And the strangest part, the day Isura died. It's the same day my daughter was born. June 19th. I don't know what that means. But ever since my daughter turned 2, she started talking about a lady in a white dress who sings to her before bedtime. Every time she says it, I feel someone standing at the doorway even if I see no one. Maybe Isaura is still here. Maybe my grandfather too. Maybe love forced by witchcraft leaves wounds so deep not even death can heal them. All I know is I inherited more than just a surname. I inherited a burden, and it weighs.
Hello, Night Lady. My name is Santiago Ortega. I am Architect from Cordoba, Argentina. I used to be a ham radio enthusiast, the kind who spends nights tuning into distant voices, bouncing off the atmosphere. I loved the idea that sound could cross borders, oceans, even decades, until I tuned into something that never should have been broadcast. It started in April of 2022, during a freak electrical storm, the kind that turns the sky violet and makes the air feel electric. I was in my garage, fiddling with my shortwave rig, when I stumbled onto a dead frequency, 19.73 megahertz. There was nothing but silence. Then a faint pulse, a voice, a woman's voice. Do you copy? Please, please respond. This is Ana Lopez. I am trapped. The transmission was broken, fading in and out like a heartbeat. She sounded terrified. I thought it was a prank, or maybe an old distress call rebounding through the ionosphere. I recorded it, listened again. The static seemed to breathe. Then came coordinates, real ones, a stretch of forest just outside La Falda. In Tierras de Cordoba, I had to check. I took my car and drove out there the next morning, found a burned patch of earth, ringed with charred branches. In the center, a rusted radio tower, collapsed and twisted like a dying insect. There were no signs of life, but my handheld radio buzzed the moment I stepped inside the ring. You're close now, the voice whispered. The static grew louder. I looked around, but I was alone, or I thought I was. My recorder, still in my pocket, turned itself on. Playback began. But the voice wasn't Ana's, it was mine. saying things I'd never said. She's not buried, she's broadcast. I ran, but the signal followed me home. That night, my radio turned on by itself at 3:33 a.m. Anna was crying. She kept repeating the same sentence. They cut my tongue. Now I speak through wires. I unplugged everything, even took the batteries out. Still, the voice came through light bulbs, through headphones that weren't connected, through the baby monitor my sister left at my house. Always Anna, and then others. Male voices, children, whispering in languages I don't know. I reached out to the university's communications department. A professor named Julian believed me, said there were rumors, legends of a woman in the 1960s who ran an illegal numbers station out of La Falda. She transmitted coded messages, always singing them. They called her La Cantante MUERTA, the dead singer. Her tower was struck by lightning mid-broadcast. The fire consumed everything, or so they thought. Her final message was never recovered until me, Professor Julian, begged me to stop listening. He said sound, under certain conditions, can become a vessel, like blood, like bone. And if her voice survived in that frequency, maybe she did too. I tried, I really did. I destroyed the radios, burned the tapes, but now I hear her in water, in wind, in my own breath. And sometimes I'm not sure it's me speaking. Last week, I woke up with ashes on my chest and a single word carved into my arm, transmit. I don't sleep anymore. I just wait for the hour when the air goes still and the buzz returns. I moved to a cabin in the mountains. No internet, no power, but she found me through the hum of the earth. Through memory, 2 nights ago, a knock. At my door, I opened it. No one there, just a portable radio, still warm, placed on the step. I brought it inside. I shouldn't have it turned on. No buttons pressed, just her voice, singing louder than ever. I never finished my broadcast, she said, and now I will. If you're hearing this, I'm sorry. It means you're the next transmitter, and once the song begins, you can't turn it off.
Hello, Night Lady, my name is Diogo Martins. I'm 32, born and raised in Recife, Brazil. I'm a sound engineer, or at least I was before everything changed. What I lived through twisted my understanding of sound, of silence, of the limits between. Signal and spirit. It began in 2021, when I was hired to restore a batch of old magnetic tapes discovered in the basement of a decommissioned radio station outside Olinda. The station, Radio Aurora, had been shut down since the 1980s, sealed off after a mysterious fire. The place was a mausoleum of forgotten sounds, rusted consoles, reels of tape, and walls stained with smoke. The man who contacted me, Saul Meader, was the last technician to work there before it closed. I just want to preserve what's left, he said. But some of these tapes, they're not normal. If you hear anything strange, don't engage. Just move on. I assumed he meant old radio dramas or political broadcasts. I couldn't have been more wrong. The first 10 tapes were mundane. Weather reports, somber recordings, old commercials. Then came tape number 11. No label, just a smear of red ink on the spine. I almost skipped it. Curiosity got the better of me. The moment I hit play, static flooded the room, not the usual hiss, but a dense, oppressive sound that seemed to press against my chest. Then, from deep within the white noise, a melody emerged, broken, incomplete, like a child's lullaby missing every fourth note. Then the whispering began. Ella canta na estatica, ella no dom, ella vi evoca. She sings in the static. She doesn't sleep. She sees you. I rewound it. thinking it was a leftover clip from a radio play. But every time I replayed it, new elements surfaced. A girl laughing, a metallic dragging sound, and then a voice, low, guttural, that said, Voca libitu. You set her free. From that moment on, nothing was the same. My equipment began malfunctioning. Headphones screeched with feedback. Microphones recorded voices when the room was empty. The spectral analysis of the audio showed impossible patterns, human-shaped frequencies pulsing across the waveform, and in every playback of tape number 11, I heard her more clearly. A woman, singing. I dove into research. The station's archives were gone, but a few newspaper clippings remained. In 1984, a young singer named Isora Vale vanished during a live recording at Radio Aurora. She had written a final composition, a lullaby meant to honor her late mother. Witnesses reported screams and smoke. The booth was found scorched. Isora was never seen again. Only her last recording survived. I tried digitizing the tape, thinking it would stabilize the sound, purify it, but the digital file was worse. Every time I saved it, the file name changed. LQUECANTAR.mp3, then VOCEAMORDIU.wav, then no extension at all, just a sequence of symbols. Late one night, while transferring files, I fell asleep at my desk. I woke up to music playing. My speakers were off, the computer was unplugged, yet the melody continued. I stood up, and in the dark screen of my monitor, I saw myself, mouth moving. But I wasn't singing. She was. I ran to the kitchen, splashed water on my face. The faucet hissed with static. My phone lit up with a notification, a new voicemail. I played it. It was my voice, screaming. That week, I began to hear her in everything. Radios flicked on by themselves. Neighbors complained about a strange tune at odd hours. One morning, I found a message carved into my wooden desk. Let me finish the song. I tried destroying the tape. It wouldn't burn. I smashed the reels. The next day, they were back in my backpack. I mailed the fragments to a friend in Sao Paulo. He called me 2 days later, whispering, terrified, "She's here, Thiago. She followed the wires." He hung up, was never heard from again. I stopped working, stopped sleeping. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her. I saw her in her white dress, mouth open, eyes hollow, standing by the tower. Sometimes outside my window, sometimes in my dreams. I live in silence now. No internet, no music. I unplugged everything. But silence isn't safe. The hum of electricity carries her. The vibration of air conditioners, the pulse of an old fan. Last week, I visited a church. No electronics, just stone and candlelight. I prayed. I begged. The priest found me collapsed at the altar, my ears bleeding, my mouth stretched in a silent scream. On the pew beside me, a cassette labeled Facifinal, Final Phase. Inside was a single recording. My voice, singing her song. If you're hearing static tonight, and there's a melody buried in it, don't listen, don't hum along, don't let her finish the lullaby. Because once you hear it to the end, she comes through. And once she's through, she never stops singing.
Hello, Night Lady. My name is Helena Ruiz. I'm 28 years old and live in Cordoba, Argentina. I'm a wedding photographer, or at least I used to be. What I'm about to tell you isn't just a creepy memory. It's a stain on my reality that never quite washed away. Every time I close my eyes, I see her, and I know she sees me too. That's all began in 2019, when I got hired to shoot a wedding at a luxurious rural estate just outside the city. The venue was gorgeous, colonial arches, creeping ivy on the walls, and a centerpiece, an enormous mirror. Room called La Sala de los Espejos, the Hall of Mirrors. Brides adored it, but everyone who worked there avoided it. When I asked why, they simply said, "Don't touch the mirror." Anna and Diego, the couple, were wonderful. Their wedding went smoothly, no drama, just joy. Later that evening, around 10:30 p.m., Anna asked for some intimate bridal portraits inside the Hall of Mirrors. The staff lit dozens of candles around the room. The light bounced off the mirror in ways that made Anna look ethereal, otherworldly. But as I snapped the photos, a chill gripped me. Not cold, a pressure, like something invisible watching me work. I chalked it up to fatigue, but when I got home and loaded the pictures onto my computer, I noticed it in every single photo. Behind Anna stood a second figure, a blurred shape. A woman dressed in what looked like an antique wedding dress, her veil covering her face, her hands pressed flat against the mirror's surface. Not a reflection, a presence. I tried to zoom in, enhance the image. But the more I focused, the more distorted the woman's face became. Her veil began to lift slightly, and what I saw underneath wasn't just wrong. It was impossible. It was a face stretched and warped, as if screaming endlessly from behind glass. I deleted the photos, or tried to. The next day, they reappeared in a folder I never created, titled She Waits. I called the wedding planner, hoping for a rational explanation. There was silence on the other end. Then she asked, "Did Anna go into the mirror room alone?" I said yes. "Then you need to warn her. She's chosen. Chosen. Chosen for what?" I began digging through local archives and found a series of chilling reports. The estate used to be owned by a wealthy Spanish family in the early 1900s. Their son, Mateo, was to be married to a young woman named Clara Ibarra. But on the day of the wedding, Mateo vanished, eloped with Clara's younger sister. Clara was found hours later, alone in the mirror room, her wedding dress shredded, shards of broken glass embedded in her throat. Some said she screamed until her voice broke. Others claimed she carved messages into the mirror before collapsing. From that day on, brides who stood too long before the mirror claimed to see Clara, and some even disappeared entirely. I contacted Anna. She didn't believe me, said she felt amazing. Since the wedding, felt different, more beautiful, more alive. But when I looked her up on social media, something was off. Her eyes in the photos, not quite hers. Her smile, too wide. Her posture, wrong. 2 weeks later, Anna was found in her apartment, unconscious in front of a shattered mirror. Her hands were bleeding. She kept repeating one phrase: "She's behind me. She's inside me." She was admitted to a psychiatric facility. She hasn't spoken since. That should have been the end. But a WASN single quotes, One night, I woke up gasping, not from a nightmare, from a sound. Scraping like fingernails dragging across glass. In my room. The full-length mirror I kept by the closet was fogged. On the surface, letters formed: bride, photographer, witness. And then I saw her, Clara, standing behind me in the reflection, her mouth wide open. But in the room, I was alone. I turned the mirror to face the wall. That night, all the mirrors in my apartment cracked. Bathroom, kitchen, even the screen of my phone, though untouched, began flickering with distorted images of her. She whispers in reflections now, not always clear, but sometimes I hear you. Took her picture, now take her place. There's more. I found old photo albums in antique stores near the estate. In many of them, brides from decades past look identical to Clara. Same expression, same veil, same dead stare. It's like she's been cycling through bodies over and over again. And I think Anna was just the most recent, but I wasn't just a bystander. I captured her, and now when I take photos, she appears in every frame, no matter the subject, no matter the location, even selfies, especially selfies. I'm scared to blink, scared to look in any reflection. I cover mirrors, avoid glass, even puddles, because she's waiting, and she's getting closer. The worst part, my camera roll has started changing on its own. Photos I never took, moments I never lived. One showed me wearing a veil, another standing in the hall of mirrors, smiling beside a faceless groom. And yesterday, I received an email from an unknown address. No message, just a single image. Me, in Clara's dress, mouth open, eyes gone. And in the mirror behind me, Clara, whole again. I don't know how long I have left, but I've stopped photographing weddings. I only shoot ruins now, abandoned places, anywhere without reflections. But sometimes, even in the broken glass of collapsed buildings, I still see her smiling.
Hello, Night Lady. My name is Camila Vergara. I'm 34 years old. I live in Valparaiso, Chile, and I work restoring antique objects, especially religious artifacts, dolls, portraits, and anything considered too delicate or too damaged to trust. To just anyone, people call me the one who brings the forgotten back to life. But sometimes, some things are forgotten for a reason. In 2012, I received a commission that would change my life. A collector named Francisco called me saying he'd inherited the belongings of his great-grandmother. Among them, hidden in a cedar chest wrapped in a child's blanket, was an old porcelain doll. He didn't want to sell it. He wanted it restored, honored, he said. I remember the word. He had tears in his voice when he said, "It was my sister's, and before her, my great-grandmother's. She said it protected our women." The first time I saw the doll, I got goosebumps. She was about 40 centimeters tall, with hair made of real strands, dark, tangled and brittle with age. Her face was cracked, lips smeared as if once painted blood red and then rubbed off with time. But the eyes, glass eyes, unmoving, jet black, too wide for the face and slightly misaligned, as if she was always looking over your shoulder, not quite at you. Her dress, once probably white, was now stained in rust-colored blotches. The smell, a strange mix of dried roses and something sour, like vinegar and decay. I took the doll into my studio and placed her inside a glass case to begin my observation period. Before any restoration, I always spend a few nights near the object to understand how it behaves with air, humidity, and temperature. That first night, something was wrong. My cat, Lua, didn't just avoid the room. She hissed at the closed door. At 3 a.m., my smoke detector went off, but there was no smoke, and the temperature in the room had dropped to 11 C. Despite it being summer. The doll's position inside the case had shifted. She had one hand raised. I told myself it was the vibration of the floorboards. Maybe traffic outside, maybe. The next day, I began restoration. I started with the dress, cleaning, drying, treating the fabric. I noticed something odd under one sleeve, for tiny needle punctures in the porcelain shoulder. Not accidental, deliberate. Then I discovered human hair inside the torso cavity, and teeth, 2 small baby teeth, embedded in wax, wrapped in linen, hidden. I called Francisco. Said, that must have been from Camila, not me, his sister, who died when she was 7. He explained that she believed the doll protected her, that she used to whisper to it every night when she lost her baby teeth. She said the doll told her to keep them inside so they could be together forever. I asked how she died. He paused, fell down the stairs. He whispered, head first, holding the doll. I should have stopped then, but I didn't. I repainted the eyes, reattached one of the arms, sewed the torn hem. But something was wrong with me. Each day, I grew more tired. I stopped eating. I forgot names. I found bruises on my body in strange places, my wrists, like something had grabbed me during the night. And then the dreams began. Always the same house, always the same music, like an old music box winding down, and in the center of a long hallway, the doll sitting in a wooden chair, and next to her, a child with her face rotting, one eye missing, skin gray and peeling. She whispered, "You made her beautiful, now make me whole again." The third time I had the dream, I woke up in a cold sweat and found dirt under my fingernails. Not regular dirt, thick, black soil like the kind you dig from graves. I called a priest. He came to bless the house, but as soon as he stepped into the room with the doll, he vomited. He said he felt an ancient hunger. He didn't finish the blessing. He left. I tried to get rid of the doll, took it to the beach to throw it into the ocean, but she came back. The next morning, she was sitting on my doorstep, soaked, staring at the door. There were tiny footprints, muddy, leading up to the entrance, and written on the glass in sea salt, "You belong now." I lost weeks of my life. I stopped answering the phone. My family thought I had gone abroad, but I was home, trapped. Every mirror in the house reflected her. Every corner whispered her name. Then one night, I dreamt of Camila, the girl. She wasn't rotting this time. She looked whole. She held my hand and said, "She doesn't love me anymore. She only wants you." And then she screamed, a scream so sharp it shattered the dream. When I woke up, the doll was gone. So was my cat. I found Lua 2 days later, crushed at the bottom of the stairs. Just like the girl, just like the story. I moved out. I burned everything in that studio, photos, journals, tools. But a month ago, on the anniversary of Camilla's death, I found a small package at my new doorstep. No name, no sender inside a single baby tooth, an address, child-sized, stained in rust. The smell, lavender and earth.
So, my dears, those were the stories of the night. I would like to know if you have any personal stories to send me. The email address is in the descriptions. And remember, you are never alone.
I am weird.